Now that we have all 3 differentials built and ready to go, it's time to start placing them into their final housings, and we start with bag C, the front gearbox assembly. You'll need both thread lock and black grease for this bag, so keep them handy, and let's get going by spilling out the contents of bag C. As with previous items, all sections of the truck seem really nicely produced. The plastic gearbox is pretty much moulded to perfection, although let's see how nicely this thing bolts together. We start by inserting a bearing into either side of the bulkhead, larger on the inside and the smaller on the outside, before feeding the differential pinion gear through both bearings from the inside out, and dropping on a 2mm shim, after which the differential coupler can sit on top. Note the flat section of the inserted coupler though. Insert a 4mm set screw and tighten down into place onto the flat section, with some thread lock applied here too of course. Give the coupler a few turns, making sure everything is nice and free. When ready, we can now insert the front differential, so that's the one with the 15,000 weight oil marked F15. Some shims are included but may not be required. Check fitment carefully upon inserting the differential and only use the shims if they are needed. We don't need them in this example, so we can proceed to cover with the top half of the bulkhead and seal into place with 2 14mm cap head screws. Note that you'll need to screw all the way in so that they're nice and snug, and then ensure the differential is free moving. Otherwise you may need to back off the screws a little to make sure there's no binding. Finally, turn the bulkhead over and apply some grease around the entire ring gear. You don't need to go crazy with the grease here, just a small amount going around the gear as it helps reduce temperatures and makes the set last longer. At this point I like to slowly turn the diff coupler as well as the differential itself just to get that grease spread around the ring and pinion and to check everything is turning nice and freely. We can then proceed to seal up the bulkhead by placing the final plastic piece on the bottom and securing it into place using 2 6mm flathead screws, again taking care not to over tighten and strip out any threads. Bulkhead now sealed, and you can give the differential a faster turn, really making sure it's spinning nice and free. If it doesn't turn, make sure you haven't over tightened the outer case screws. Time to get the metal front shock tower installed at this point. We'll start by getting the shock standoffs installed. While we have 4 positions to fine tune, we'll stick with the stock build for now, so stock position for the standoffs is the 3rd hole down. Insert the standoff and secure with an M4 lock nut on the opposite side. The Techno wrench comes in handy to hold the standoff as we tighten the nut down. Repeat on the opposite side. The tower is now ready to be secured to the main front gearbox, positioned on the front side, so the side opposite the coupler, secure with a single 14mm cap head screw on either side. And with that, bag C is complete. All parts fit together with perfection, no problems at all. Next we'll move on to bag D and the rear bulkhead assembly.